Hello and welcome back to Suns and Shadows Cast. We're the podcast that delves into the lost, the forgotten, and the canceled TV shows from yesteryear. This time we're going around with Clerks, the animated series from the mind of one Kevin Smith. I am Jeff, your main host, and I am joined by...
Not that Kevin Smith.
Shit.
Couldn't afford that, man.
And I guess I'm Will, the guy who said, yeah, cancel this shit.
Oh, burn. Or
God
the
damn it,
burn
ABC.
ward.
Finally, a show about regular, everyday clerks. Yes! Oh, and yeah, the customer's always wrong.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, it's Clerks. Just be glad they're animated.
Fall down and go boom.
All right, Kevin, you brought this show to our attention. Was this show you watched when it was on? I actually don't know. What channel was this on when it first came out?
This was commissioned by ABC.
Oof.
And it was almost like one of those situations where Fox has their change of hands, and then whoever comes in just slices a bunch of shows.
Yeah.
That's partially what killed Clerks. No, I didn't get to see it when it first aired because, one, that was the point in time where I didn't have TV.
Yeah.
And two, I was near a TV that night because it was a Super Bowl. But then me and my roommate left his sister's house after the game, and that was the only time Clerks aired. Was late, partially the way through it because the Super Bowl went over, and they started it on the third episode, so everybody was lost.
Oh,
And
that's where they started this?
Yes, they did the pilot. That's the joke at the beginning, the unaired pilot,
Oh,
because the pilot never got aired, but nothing did other than I think episode 3.
yeah. I didn't do much research because I knew you were a little more familiar with the show. And I know for both me and Will, we clearly did not watch this when it aired when we were doing our pre-production on this. And so this was both of our first times checking this out. So yeah, I was pretty curious if you had actually seen this when it first came out or if you caught it later.
I was well aware of it because, like most nerds kind of like me, I followed viewaskew.com like religiously.
Oh, yeah.
And so like they had pictures and updates about it then, but I didn't get to see it until it came out on DVD. And like I had to board check somebody to get into Best Buy to get it. I didn't know if they were going to get that DVD before me. They could have been looking for something else, but I just assumed they were looking for that DVD, so I just board checked the fucker out of the way.
Was that from that? This was a Touchstone property, so Disney actually put this out on DVD then?
Yes, and so there were some changes
Disney?
that needed to be made.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Clearly.
Like cat
bring it
abuse?
Well, there's that. No, primarily one of the biggest things obviously that needed to change was drug references. So
Oh yeah, it was all about cigarette smoke was what they could get away with. I noticed that almost immediately. I'm like, Jay and Silent Bob aren't known for smoking cigarettes per se.
yeah, I mean, not since Kevin quit anyway.
Yeah.
Well, he and Muse both quit, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
No, like clearly they couldn't have likable characters being drug dealers, so they switched it to fireworks instead.
Which that was okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
fine with that.
Yeah, none of the changes that ABC required to be made was really all that bad. Like Kevin, who else was it? Mike Wendell and Paul Dini. They were the writers. And
Yeah,
like,
I noticed Paul Dini's name. I'm like, no shit.
oh, that made me
that's
so
cool.
happy.
Yeah.
I love him.
Who voiced George Lucas?
Is that who he voiced? Was George Lucas?
Yep, he actually did a little bit as George Lucas.
That's one of the things I love about Kevin. Like, he is not afraid to like enlist his friends to do something funny.
No, you look down that guest list and it's like, oh shit. He must have all said, hey, you guys owe me a favor for something.
I don't know, but like this, I couldn't see anybody not having fun working on any part of this show. Like it's so fast, it's so random, and it's so silly. Like
Especially the Korean animators.
oh my god! Like we we had so many people writing in about that.
Yeah.
That scene is probably most people's favorite scene or favorite quote anyway. oh my God, bear's driving car. How can this be?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that isolated outside of the show before.
I have as well. I never knew it was actually from like this show though, specifically.
Oh yeah, like if you're prone to getting like epileptic seizures, that 30 seconds is not for you.
No kidding.
It's a lot of flashy lights, and a little bit of racial stereotype, but
Just a little.
just a little. So let's get that elephant out of the room. Like there are things that I don't want to say aged poorly, but things that wouldn't be found acceptable on ABC today.
Oh god, the show won't even last an episode on ABC today.
How was animal abuse ever considered acceptable on ABC?
Well, as long as nobody's bitching and they're saving a buck, probably never.
Well, at that time, they were trying to find their niche for an animated adult or more adult animated audience to go against, say, Fox and The Simpsons and like Seth MacFarlane. They actually had a little book about jokes by Seth MacFarlane actually in here. So they were trying to combat all of the adult animated fare that, say, Fox had a corner on, and they wanted to get a little piece of that. They tried that with The Critic. They tried that with this, which was a little more brash, and clearly it didn't really work out for them. But this is why they were trying something, and this was their attempt at doing it, but they still had to tone it down from, say, the movies.
Yeah, I like really Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is where they really kind of hit their peak with what they were trying to do in this cartoon. Have different segments that are parodies of different movies and stuff, which I absolutely loved about this show. But I think that's also what the execs from ABC didn't really quite get.
Oh yeah, they
I'm
didn't
not
understand
sure.
this show from the word go, clearly.
I
Or
didn't
this
understand
property.
this show. Like the first few episodes were just kind of gibberish to me. The only reason I made it through those until like the second half was because I had to.
You're
It
welcome.
seemed to get some legs kind of in the second half,
Yeah.
but just up front, I'm not a pop culture guy. Like you guys are always talking about names and it's always right over my head.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the movies. Like they're cool and all, but it's nothing like amazing to me.
Yeah, it depends on your definition of how you feel about Kevin Smith movies in general. Like, I am not the biggest Kevin Smith fan. Big shock and hot take. It's not really a hot take. He's a good director, but like not all of his movies work for me. Like Clerks 1 is okay. I haven't seen Clerks 2 and I haven't seen Clerks 3. My favorite of his is Dogma. I don't really
Yeah.
Dogma and Mallrats. Beyond that, I don't have much of a none of the other ones really click for me. I will eventually see Clerks 2 and 3 after watching this show though. So I will say this show did at least motivate me to want to see the other movies, because clearly he came back to do part 2 and part 3 to actually give the story he wanted to tell. And from all that I've heard, part 3 is actually a really good movie. So I'm at least going to check it out. But I do agree with you, Will. The first two to three episodes, I wasn't really digging this a whole lot. I really wasn't. I'm like, this is a little too random. They really don't know what they're doing with this show at this point. But once you hit episode 4, 5, and 6, it felt like, oh hey, it feels like we're actually getting our legs under us now. It's starting to gain an identity here and do its own thing. I think if this show had another 6 or 7 episodes, I think it might have actually done very well. But clearly the ratings weren't good enough, and ABC was like, nope, bye.
Yeah, like it.
I don't know if the pilot airing first would have made that big of a difference, because and then the second episode was just
It was a
I
clip
get
show.
it. The joke, I get the joke. Like shows would do clip shows, and they only had one episode, so they were doing a clip show of clip shows. But like that dead horse joke got beaten into the ground and like just pulverized. Like it wasn't funny the first time. It certainly wasn't funny the umpteenth time.
But what about the wall scaling?
Which they reused like
No.
5 times in that episode.
Oh my god.
You know, I thought it was funny the first time. I thought it was cute the
No.
second time. By the third time, I'm like, why are you keep reusing animation? Are you out of money already after
Oh,
2
shit.
episodes on this show?
See, I liked the running gag, like when they held off a couple episodes and then did it again at the end when they're trying to rescue Randall. Like, why are we walking like this?
Yeah.
I don't know why. It fucking kills me every time. Probably because I watched the shit out of Batman 66 still.
Yeah. Well, I still watch it every once in a while. I got it too, but I mean, I just felt like part of my only main problem with this is they went to the same gags over and over again. They kept going to Star Wars references, Batman references, and Indiana Jones references over and over and over and over again. Eventually they started doing like other movies and other things, and that's when it started to work for me a little bit better. Those first 3 to 4 episodes, there was a lot of Star Wars and Indiana jokes, and I'm like, you really shouldn't be hammering that too much because you're gonna kill the gimmick.
I could see that. And
I mean, I didn't hate it. I just felt like, man, this is getting a little old.
well,
It's tedious.
that's kind of what the View Askew universe is. It's like a great love of Batman, Indiana Jones, Jaws.
Hey, I totally get it. I love them too.
Yeah, but you're right, once they got past those initial movies that have had jokes about them before in the previous movies, then they started getting onto other things like Last Starfighter.
That was great.
Yeah, and changing that around completely to be a whole episode compounded with the Bad News Bears, which was also funnier and shit.
That was awesome. They just
Um,
needed somebody smoking a stogie going, I hate you guys.
I hate you guys.
Well, you can put me in there with just hating the show.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry.
I'll have a blunt.
dude.
Hey, you can light up because the show couldn't.
Yeah, I know.
Just, I mean, the creativity of the parroting, specifically, we'll say the episode that has the deadly Motaba virus, which I think might be my favorite episode. Like, when the way that they'd get a creative by keeping a joke fresh was the silliness of it. Like, instead of a Dustin Hoffman picture, it's a Al Pacino movie. They dub Al Pacino's voice every time they'd say Dustin Hoffman.
I did like that.
Yeah, like little things like that just like spur randomly just crack me up. It's almost like hearing a bleep over a bad word. Sometimes the bleep could be funnier than actually hearing the word.
Or the word that they put in instead of the real word.
Yeah.
Like the Die Hard. Die Hard is the one that's always joked about.
What did he say? Is it that?
Oh, something Mr. Falcon instead of motherfucker.
All right. I remember Exorcist, when it was on TV, it's your mother sews socks in hell. Like,
Oh my
well,
God.
that's gotta fucking suck. She must be a glove fan or something. But no, I liked this, and then creating a villain for a show to help tie everything together. I don't think they could have gotten anyone better than Alec Baldwin at the time. Like, he was perfect in that role.
Well, he is an asshole.
Yep.
Leonardo of the town of Leonardo.
And I love that he's basically a Wish.com Lex Luthor. Like,
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
he has to give an interview to Access Hollywood because he's not important enough for Entertainment Tonight to come interview him.
Or he's going to be on the Pet Supply Monthly magazine.
Yeah. Speaking of which, getting back to the Dustin Hoffman in that episode, or what you were saying with the picture photo op in the pet store where he finds the burritos. Discreto burrito has been like one of my favorite fucking phrases every time I see a frozen burrito ever since. Like, my wife is like, "What are you eating?" Discreto burritos, exquisite.
And they'll make you sick within 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, but I bet they probably did taste good, especially with that Taco Bell sauce we were talking about.
Yeah, it could be.
What about Arby's sauce instead of Taco Bell sauce?
I don't know if that would actually be good on microwave burritos. I don't know, and I'm afraid to try that.
I'm afraid to try microwave burritos.
Who isn't?
Yeah, their microwave food isn't always the greatest for you. As long as you don't get it from a gas station, it should be fine.
If it's already preheated and sitting there for 6 hours.
Was there any part of this wheel that was redeeming for you?
Oh, like I said, it got better in the second half. I did like the part. Like the last episode seemed like they kind of were just having fun with shit instead of trying too hard.
Yeah, I'd say so. I would say definitely it gets funnier as it goes along.
Maybe if I had spaced it more, it wouldn't have been. But it was like the second half was just. I mean, I just kind of binged this a lot yesterday, and the second half was just. I don't know. I just really didn't enjoy the first half.
Bummer.
Yeah, I mean, the cat thing really bugged me. And I just dropped 2 foster kittens off at the Humane Society yesterday, too, which may have been part of why the cat swinging thing bugged me. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, pal. If it's
No, it was
any
good.
consolation, no real cats were actually harmed in the filming of that show.
Or meowed.
Meowed.
Yep.
So, and they'd know because Clerks was actually drawn in front of a live studio audience. Somebody would have said something. But no, I am sorry that bothered you though.
Yeah.
Shows from like previous eras, even movies, they did things that they thought would, get people's ghosts or yank on chains. And yeah, not everything will age very well. And you kind of look back and you're like, yeah, you didn't really need to do that. They could have gone with a different gag and it would have been just fine. So
Yeah, I guess that
It
was my thing.
happens.
It was just kind of like, and people are so fucking dumb. I mean, people don't need any excuse to go out and do fucking stupid shit and then seeing it on TV, especially some psychotic little kid.
Well, I think most little kids are psychos.
and you got 3 of them.
Yeah, no shit. And the three-year-old's the worst fucking one.
Better you than me.
Or me.
If they weren't cute. And see, I feel bad. Like, it's not a hero worship or anything like that, but I also named my oldest daughter Harley, the same as Kevin Smith named his daughter Harley. And for the very same reason, I like Harley Quinn. He only, on the other hand, had a wife that was cool enough to let the middle name actually be Quinn. My little girl, my wife didn't let that happen.
Yep, she pulled the plug on that bad boy.
Oh, anything where she'd like catch the hint, she was like kiboshed it like super quick. Except for Hunter. She was okay with Hunter being named Hunter Sean.
I have a similar experience, but with naming our pets. But I tried to name one of my cats after an anime character, and I was told that doesn't really fit their character. And so I'm like, well, we'll name her, Lily. And then, it comes back around like a week or 2 later. Yeah, I suppose you could have named her that other name because it actually fits her because it really was her personality. And I'm like, next time we get a male dog, it's going to get named Kratos or Anubis.
Well, when I got that Mastiff a couple years ago, and we were trying to pick out names, like I went through everything trying to trick my wife that she was like not having any of it, like Pearl, what else? Cynthia, Kinga. Like I was trying to get all sorts of shit on her. And finally she goes, how about Luna? Oh, sure. Yeah, we can go with the moon. Like I wanted some Mystery Science Theater name and she was not having it until she's like, Luna. And not even really quite realizing that she was saying moon, which is the logo for MST for people that don't know. So I was like, yeah, okay, that works. Let's call her Luna.
That's funny.
Unless she
Little
was
gray
thinking
foster
Luna
kitten.
from, what is it, Sailor Moon.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
My
Funny.
wife is not an animation fan. Like, she doesn't believe me when I tell her that DC Direct films are like pinnacle films compared to the DCEU movies. Like, just because they're animated doesn't lessen their fucking quality of storytelling. Like, they're fucking amazing.
Until
And they're
they try
called
something
animated
stupid.
features. Oh, you mean like Batman having sex with his fucking niece, basically? Godchild, whatever.
We're talking The Killing Joke here. We've had this conversation outside of the podcast, so this has been brought up in recent memory. This is why we bring it up now.
Well, I mean, we could tie it back in to the show.
Well,
Kevin
they're Batman fans in their show, clearly. So
Well, yeah, and then Kevin Conroy. It was written by Paul Dini. You can't get any more close to that.
No, one of the main writers from the animated series.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I want to say he was the main writer, but I don't know how accurate that actually is.
Him and Bruce Timm.
Yeah, because it's called the Timverse.
Yeah.
Which anything done by his animation group really does turn out to be like solid gold coming out. Like even their Scooby-Doo shit was really good.
Yep.
Huh.
And I hate when like DuckTales, when they updated the animation for that, looked like shit. But this show, no, they actually improved it. It was cool.
I did like the animation in this show.
Yeah, I dug that. I liked the animation. I liked I saw something that said it was like done with like some really great animators. Like I don't know,
Korean animators for one.
Well, they do good work over there, and they definitely gave the show a unique look to it. It felt familiar if you were like watching something like, say, Powerpuff Girls. It had kind of a similar sort of style to it, but it definitely felt its own. And I thought they mimicked the characters pretty good from the first movie, at least.
Yes. Yeah. Well, on that, every character that's from the movie is that actor. So everybody came back to reprise their roles. Even Caitlin Bree, when you hear her on the phone for like 2 seconds, that's really Lisa Spoonhour reprising her role as Caitlin, who's, I don't know how many dicks she's on at this point. Like it's beyond 37. We know that. So and I think she had sex with like 14 different people in that one episode.
I think we lost track when the police showed up outside.
Oh shit!
Because then she was going through everybody whose name started with what, the letter J and then the letter B or something.
And then the alphabet restriction was lifted.
Oh god, I love the.
So at least they kept that gag going, even though she wasn't gagging at all.
No, but the animation.
I see what you did there. Don't think I missed that.
Just not a ball gag.
Oh,
I don't
funny.
understand the purpose of a ball gag. It's like, why would you want to just silence? And
some people like anger, sweat, shame, tears.
I've never understood that.
And droll. So
hey, that's a question for a friend of the podcast at Bottled Up Bitches. That's a great podcast. They do a lot of sex talk. That might be a question for them. If you're listening, you might want to reach out to us and let us know what you think about that.
Is it the drool? Is that a fetish? Drool fetish?
Could be.
Like
well, I mean, some salivas isn't a bad thing, but like, yeah, drool, I don't know.
All I know is all I could hear is Ving Rhames in the back of my head going,
wow, you go to a weird place.
It's the Kevin Smith universe. It is not combining correctly in this podcast episode. The Smith verse.
I'm sorry. I'm a horrible person too.
You're not sorry. This makes for good podcasting.
Oh, speaking of which, I need my root beer. I've been sitting here nursing coffee and haven't had a sip of my root beer yet.
Totally disconnected. You know, Aletta Ocean does Twitch streaming. Don't know why that made me think of it. Aletta Ocean.
Did not know that.
Yeah, a buddy of mine told me that from the Telegram group. So I was like, wow, that's surprising.
Right? But Jeff, you said you hadn't seen Clerks 2. Wear a diaper when you watch that shit. Like it will make you fucking laugh and pee at the same time. Like
I don't know, those can get a little itchy.
No, I never told you guys. So when my wife and I first got together, we were at my parents' house, and for whatever reason, my mom had a package of Depends that was supposed to go to somebody, and it might have been my grandfather's wife. I'm not sure, but I'd come running out in the backyard wearing nothing but Depends and jump in the fucking swimming pool like cannonball style.
Oh my god!
My parents were mortified. My wife is sitting there like, fucking idiot. I'm like, I'm trying to impress you, bitch. You get
Did
out
it
of this
work?
thing. Yeah, so you get out and it's like all swollen up and shit. Like, haha, now I look huge. Don't try that at home, kids.
No, just have it animated Korean style.
Well, the animation, the style where they got that from was a comic book, a one-shot comic book that was, it was an extra story, but it was kind of like what happens at the funeral they're supposed to be going to in the first movie, when Randall accidentally knocks over the fucking casket is what happens. They all have to take off running. But they did a comic book of that, and that's what the art looked like. And so that's why they kind of kept it that way, the same, because it was just really snappy looking animation. The outlines is really kind of did it, I think.
Yeah.
That was what I saw. Something they mentioned, like the really heavy outlines. It did look very comic book style.
Yeah, actually, I think on the special features they might have animated that deleted scene too. Yeah, because I want to say Joy Lauren Adams was in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her and her sister were there at the funeral. Like a bunch of people from Red Bank were there. Anyway, I don't know. I'll trail off on that one because I'm gonna be like, I can't remember.
But no, I hadn't seen the second or third one. But I will get around to seeing them. They're now officially on the radar. They were always on like the back burner of, oh, I'll get to them. Oh, but I'm actually going to get to them at some point soon.
Clerks 2 is a very realistic type movie for how funny it is. Like the humor's very relatable, and it was very current for its time, like a lot of Lord of the Rings type jokes.
Yeah.
Versus Star Wars.
Okay.
Like Rings fans and Star Wars fans trying to duke it out for who's like cooler. And you really have to be like, you know what? It's Randall, so you got to go with that. But otherwise, it's a naughty ass flick and it's funny as hell.
Okay. All right.
That's all I'll say about that.
Now, would you say this lines up with like Jay and Silent Bob and their Strikes Back movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's similar. As far as the comedy type style, very believable. Well, Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back got a little cartoony.
Yeah, with
I
a cock
enjoyed
knocker.
that.
Yeah. Oh,
I enjoyed that movie. I thought that movie was probably one of the better things that they've done.
You know,
I
was
liked
working
it
at a
too,
coffee shop in
actually.
Riverside when that came out.
Okay.
I know only one person that didn't fucking like it. And he was like so shocked and upset and had to tell me about it. One of my customers, like, he enjoyed Dogma so much and he hadn't seen Chasing Amy, Mallrats, or Clerks, but he thought Dogma was really clever. So he went to go see Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
Oh no, totally different movie, dude.
Yeah, and because Kevin's really good at that, he could make different style films.
Yeah.
And you could enjoy it in every single picture. It's not like he has the same signature type scenes in every single movie.
Pretty close, but not entirely the same. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like he'll throw in winks and nods and stuff like that, like the word poopy trim that shows up in most movies.
No, he's more known for his character studies and, keeping it intimate with your central cast and having some good dialogue. He's not really known for a grand scale epicness. This is why he's never done blockbusters. Dude can write, but yeah, my God, you go from like Dogma. I can tell you from experience, not being a big Kevin Smith fan, you go from Dogma to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. They're two different movies. You got to know going in that the next movie is going to be different. His movie Tusk is different than anything else.
That's a crazy movie.
Red Notice, which is
that.
really good. Or is it Red Notice?
Red State.
Red State.
Red State. I still want to see that.
Crazy good.
That movie's ending is fucking sick.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. The way that ends is like, oh damn.
And it's one of John Goodman's best roles too.
He did great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why I was really disappointed by the way this started and kind of carried on for a bit. Because I really like Kevin Smith movies. Like, I'm not super into Clerks, but Mallrats was cool. Dogma was great. Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is awesome. I watched Clerks 2 kind of half absently, and it didn't really stick with me at all. So yeah, haven't seen Clerks 3, but I was really hoping it would be a lot better. I don't know, it wasn't what I was hoping for. It seemed like it really didn't know what to do with itself at first. Like somebody was just like, let's make a Clerks movie. Let's make a animation off of it. It made money, right? It's really popular, right? We can just make a cartoon, right? Sign the deal.
Well, they
Sounds
actually
easy
made
enough.
the joke in the show about that too during the last episode, where they go in on the conference and they're like, "Why does this show suck? It's nothing exactly like the movie," or blah blah blah. It's like it's toned down. There's no sex. There's no this, that, or the other. There's no swearing, and it's like, well,
Why
what
is it
can
in
you
color?
do? It's network TV, for freaking sake.
Well,
Well,
the
it
funniest.
wasn't
Good.
even that I wanted it to be like the movie, because like I said, movie is whatever, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that it wasn't like the movie. That wasn't why I didn't like it.
The movie, I get your point of view. Like you said, you're not, you don't breathe pop culture as nearly as much as someone with no life like I do.
Or me.
Yeah.
Like that's all I do, unfortunately. But
I mean, I do wargaming and 3D printing, so yeah.
yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
his movies pretty much since Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back have been like family reunions, bringing characters back. And when they do, they have a good time, and you could tell because that translates through the movie. And Clerks 2 was kind of that way. The little cameos that they had from people from past films, those were all pretty damn good. Like you were happy to see certain people. Jeff, I don't want to spoil it, but we'll just say someone natural like Jason Lee. You're like super excited to be like, oh shit, it's Brody. It's not really Brody, but it's Jason Lee. So you do, if you like it, you do get that familiarity. And again, Will, I know you didn't have it nearly as much. I basically breathed this shit in ever since late high school, early college. There, I made a fart. I made a fart noise. We'll edit that.
That'll be our stinger.
It's our stinger. What about quotes? Did you guys at least find quotes that like you could take with you in life? Like I've got a few that I've certainly taken outside of a Discreto burrito.
Oh, I have one I really liked.
Bears driving. I like that.
Yeah, like I said, I think that was like the most overwhelming response to what's your favorite quote when we asked online. Is Bear is driving car. How can this be? Or
How could
it's
this be?
how great American party.
I wrote, I haven't seen a panic like this since Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Parlor was renewed. Wednesdays on ABC. I like that. I got a kick out of that because I actually watched that show when it was on TV for like 2 seasons, not the last season, but
That was an actual TV show?
yeah, Ryan Reynolds was in that. And Nathan
Wow.
Fillion.
I had no idea. All
Yeah,
right,
Two
then.
Guys, although I know it more as Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, not a pizza parlor. So I don't know if that was like a snafu or they did that on purpose, but I did. Eventually, it got renamed to just Two Guys and a Girl. They dropped off the pizza place.
Wow,
Julius
I
Carey was
totally
in that
thought-
from our Briscoe episode, and Show
Wow.
Nuff, the Last Dragon, he was the pizza parlor or pizza place owner. Then they got rid of him.
No shit.
Yep.
Wow. I feel
pretty
bad for
crazy.
missing that now.
Yeah, so when they dropped that line, I thought that was funny. I also got a kick out of like a visual gag where they were reading the Variety article about Clerks is actually a good show, and so is Sports Night too. And I actually watched Sports Night at that time, which is a fantastic show, which was another tragically canceled show. But my last one is isn't it actually in episode 3 where they go, "You're victims of an overactive imagination of a pop culture junkie loudmouth." And the answer from James Woods was, "Who? Quentin Tarantino?" And that's when it started. Towards that part of the episode, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to catch what's good about this show now.
Yeah, aside from having 1,000,001 Easter eggs in the show, like it had
God,
some
yeah.
pretty good one-liners like that. Like just some of the things were like phrases you would never ever think to say, or
No.
words to string together. Like, I'm gonna burn this place to the ground and pee pee all over the ashes.
Yep.
And pee pee all over the ashes.
If it was a little more mature rated, it would have been like, I'm gonna take a leak all over these ashes.
But see, pee pee is much funnier. Like, that's more childish, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It fits better with the rage.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It contradicts it or contrasts it so much that it kind of elevates that joke,
Oh,
or
yeah.
elevates the word. But no, I there's a lot of quotes that, like, I think just about everything that Alec Baldwin said, but him telling Plug, his assistant, to bring the quick stop to him, and he's like, "Sir, it's just a store." And he snaps his fucking board in half. Bring it.
Well, he was like, well, I could bring the two people that work there. And he's like, fine, bring them.
For now.
But they got to come to quicker stop.
Oh, and that was great. Them mimicking the fucking haunted mansion.
Yeah.
in a quick stop that has little teeny tiny adult magazines.
Yep. Lots and lots of adult magazines.
Oh man.
Oh God. And even like that episode where he got the three Asian ladies. Well, that's where he was playing the Pharaoh game. Randall was playing the Pharaoh video game from the high school reunion, and he got taken there, and they're like, you could have whatever you want before we take you to your reward, and they give him like these three Asian ladies, and he's like, okay, I want this, and I want adult magazines. I want the Asian ones. I have a thing for Asians. And they're like, but we're here to please you. He's like, I want the magazines. Go now. Do what I told you to do.
Right.
And they're all just like, what? Okay.
Oh, my
It
favorite
was the
part of
Last
there.
Starfighter reference, which was awesome.
Oh yes. This is where he says, I got a thing for Asian chicks. The fucking guy tells him, as do I. Like, it was just so returned. As do I.
Why do you think I have them on staff?
But it would have been funnier if they'd had Alec Baldwin just be Alec Baldwin.
Well, they did that in 30 Rock, though.
Yeah, and see, this was before 30 Rock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I never really watched that. Like, this is very much hindsight of what Alec Baldwin later became, and
Currently is.
Currently is. It was before he fucking trashed his daughter, and she recorded it. It was before he got in illegal trouble with shooting somebody, and yeah, like, it's hard to talk about somebody that's played in so many great roles, who's also done so many terrible things in real life. Like,
I love The Shadow.
that's where you're kind of like, yeah, well, the weed of crime bears bitter fruit, you old hag. Yeah, you really have to separate the artist from the art, because he's not a good guy, I don't think. But I liked his voice, his performance for Leonardo. I
never even pegged him as Alec Baldwin until I saw the credits, and I'm like, no shit, that was him.
Yeah, like, maybe the only other person that I could have seen playing Leonardo would be maybe David Warner.
Yeah.
Because more like that racial.
That would have been funny.
Yeah, that Ra's Gold type voice.
Yeah.
Which is very similar. But I liked Leonardo. I liked Plug, his assistant that you find out later is actually a robot. I liked it. It worked for me. It worked for as short as it was. And I'd really like to have seen if there would have been other villains had the show progressed.
You think they would have gone the James Bond Spectre route, where they would have included a guy with some like fake teeth and whatever, and done like a Jaws reference?
Probably, because again, they like that sort of stuff.
Well, because like your assistant was kind of modeled after Oddjob from Dr. No.
Yeah, and Richard Kiel was still alive at that time, and I don't know anybody that doesn't like Richard Kiel after meeting him.
Dude, that would have been even sweet. Just to have him say like one word.
Oh yeah, shit. And it didn't even have to be something from James Bond. It could be something like from fucking what was it, Human Duplicators that he was in?
I don't remember, to be honest.
It's a Misty movie, but it's a fairly decent flick that he was in.
Oh, Ega?
Well, he played a very decent character in the flick. I think the Human Duplicators.
I thought it was
Ega
Ega.
was fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's been in more than one.
Oh, okay.
I want to say he's like the super tall alien, like trying to take over the world with these androids. So he's like slowly
yeah.
kidnapping them one at a time. Yeah, but he was good. The rest of the movie's just cheese, but that's what you get on a Mystery Science Theater episode. Now, were there any parodies that did work for you, Will?
I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed the Jay and Silent Bob parody of Jay and Silent Bob with the fireworks, and I thought that was funny. And it didn't really bug me at all that, I mean, I liked pot, and it didn't bug me at all that they weren't smoking pot.
I love where he's like, yeah, you could blow your hand off. Look.
See, I'd say I love the PSAs that they did. I thought those almost stole every episode that they did those in. And then beating up Charles Barkley and Charles, what are you doing here? Get out of here.
Well, you knew what that was a parody of, right?
Actually, I don't.
That scene where they were beating the shit out of Charles Barkley, where they finally like drive up, jump out of the car and just start fucking wailing on him. That's a ripoff, not a ripoff. It's a parody of The Godfather, where Sonny goes and beats the shit out of Sonny beats the shit out of Carlo Rizzi in the middle of the street for slapping his sister. He fucking bites his fucking knuckles on the pipe so he can't hold onto the pipe, and he fucking hits him with the trash can.
Oh my god, it tells you how long it's been since I've seen that movie. I need to pull that out and watch that now too.
Yes,
God, between this and Dread, I don't know. I got my backlog piling up, but oh well.
At least Dread's good.
Yeah, but
Dread is a cool movie.
So is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Just saying.
Is it?
But we're talking Clerks and Kevin Smith, so
weekend, whatever.
Well, I got a question.
That would be another. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. I can edit.
No, I was going to say that would probably be another type of movie that would eventually wound up being parodied on this show once they got to a holiday episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know if this was like paired up with, because I literally don't know because I wasn't clearly paying attention when this show came out. Was this paired up with The Critic at all?
Not that I recall.
I didn't think so. I'm probably getting years messed up and whatnot, but I do not. Well, yeah, that would have been. This was paired up with Sports Night. That was more like late 90s, early 2000s then. So then, that wouldn't have been paired up together. But I think I was going to now ask, like, what do you think? Was this okay at 6 episodes, or do you think this really, really could have actually gone a little bit longer?
I would have liked to have seen it gone on a little longer personally, but that's just because this hits me like I am their demographic.
So I'd have preferred to see it go longer. Like I said, I started to enjoy it more towards the end, and it seemed to kind of figure out what they wanted to do with the idea of Clerks as a cartoon, rather than the first half kind of seemed like they were trying to just take the movie and just make a cartoon.
Right. That's where they are largely centered around those two stores, like the video store and the quick stop store. And I would say definitely this could have gone another 7 episodes for at least a good solid 13. So they could have told like some sort of longer term story if they had wanted to. Most of these animation shows are largely episodic, but I don't know. I think it could have gone 13. I know Kevin every once in a while would say, oh, I'm still thinking on bringing this back. Like, we can bring it back at some point in the future. So maybe there's a chance for this coming back sometime in the future. I think it would be better served to show up on a streamer. Probably something like, I don't know if HBO would go for it or if the rights are still owned by Disney, but I would put this on HBO Max or even Netflix. I know Netflix is the scum of the earth to some people, but they do give chances to shows. They rescued a few and they keep bringing a couple more on. They just saved Manifest. They've saved Longmire. They've brought on other shows. Of course, they've then canceled other shows that they brought on. But I think, there is a home for a place like this now. And then they could ramp up the language, make it a little more colorful. They could do a little more what they wanted to do with this show in the first place. So there's room for it to come back and room for it to grow if Kevin Smith really wanted to do so and somebody was willing to give him the chance.
Yeah. And this, I think what we're going to see with Evil Dead and Bruce retiring and only wanting to do voiceover work, that's going to become a trend, I think, with a lot of our stars, because they're going to be like, I am way too old to fucking make another movie doing this shit. But animation never ages, and neither does your voice. And Adam West proved that with those 2 last Batman movies that he made. Like,
Right.
It was wonderful. He and Burt Ward together were it's just like watching an episode. And I think Clerks has that potential as well. Like,
I think so too.
yeah, Brian and Jeff have like very distinct voices, very distinct personalities. And I think Jeff's just naturally funny the way he delivers lines.
Yep.
So I'm more of the Randall type character. Which is bad because like Randall has no ability to like empathize with anyone else's plight or like take any form of responsibility.
Maybe that's part of why the cartoon didn't really vibe with me. Like, of all the Kevin Smith movies that he's made that I've watched and enjoyed, I'd say Clerks is probably one of my lesser favorite ones. And yeah, I don't identify with Dante or Randall.
Yeah,
There's parts of them you can relate to, but it's not enough to be like, I actually relate to that person. They might say like one line and it's like out of like the 400 lines they have, and it's like, well, that's just not enough for me to actually like that character. So I could see that.
Yeah. But like, I want to say both characters were just Kevin split up into 2 different people initially. Yeah. Jay, of course, was always based upon Jay. Steve Dave and God, is it Walt? I mean, I know it's Walt Flanagan, but Brian Johnson and Walt Flanagan, Mosier, they've all been together for a long time. They could still make cartoons using their voices. Oh, that's wait, true. Now I got it. Okay. Randall's just always been that favorite character of mine. I don't know why. Probably because he says things that you want to say internally, but you can't externally. So he's kind of that voice of freedom that's not afraid to say what he's thinking to the customer.
Yeah, he doesn't have a filter on his thoughts.
Yeah, that's so like you said, like we said, he's incapable of putting himself in anyone else's shoes or remotely caring about somebody else's plight.
Right. Now, do you guys have a favorite episode out of this batch of 6 that we got? If you had to pick one.
Mine would be the Al Pacino movie episode.
Okay.
No, that's got Gilbert Godfrey
voicing Patrick Swayze, quote unquote.
Yes.
That was hilarious.
It's got a kid in the helmet joke. It's the parody of Outbreak, which is one of my favorite movies. So that one just always kind of grabbed me.
And well, did you have a particular episode that you were like, this one's better than the rest?
Parts of the last episode I liked more than the rest. Parts of the 5th episode and the 4th episode, but none of it was really consistent enough to really be like, yeah, this is an episode that I enjoyed. Like, I did enjoy the jokes about the carnival ride workers being tweakers and junkies and drunks, because that's why I've never been to a carnival.
Well, make sure you have metal shutters and close those windows, and make sure that when the Ferris wheel comes flying off, it doesn't burst in through the window.
See, and there are parts that really shined. I think that's also part of why I'm a little bit annoyed with it, is because it really did have potential. Like,
well, for it to not reach that full potential wasn't their fault. That was ABC's fault.
Yeah, they were like, nah, the show sucks. Forget it.
Yeah, they cut it out at the legs immediately.
Yeah, it's like once they saw the finished product, they're like, what do we do with this now?
This might be one of those things where Kickstarter might be best to bring it back.
People would bounce for it.
Because there are fans of it. There are fans that would pay to see it.
Again, look at all of our social media we got on this thing.
Yeah. The Wikipedia for this is gushing with praise, you could say. It was definitely written by someone who likes Kevin Smith's work.
Well, and that's who you want to actually write some of these. And then you have, of course, everybody else in the world who can edit for the fine tooth comb of like, no, this is actually what happened. This is what happened. But it's still a very good show. This is what happened. No, it sucks.
No, it sucks.
Hey, what is it? 90% of the internet is built on lies or made up of lies.
Lies.
And the other 10%
rumors.
is porn.
Yeah, maybe the other way around.
Or something like that. But to answer my own question, my favorite episode was the 4th episode, Judge Reinhold. All the
Yay!
Beverly Hills Cop episodes, and they actually had Judge Reinhold do his own voice acting. I thought, I don't know, that one worked for me most of all. I like the 5th and the 6th one pretty good too, but the one that stands out for me is the court case one with Judge Reinhold as Judge Reinhold. And they did the People's Court theme too for
Yes.
part of the episode, which really made me pop. So I don't know, that episode just worked for me from beginning to end, even though I wasn't too thrilled with how did he get out of the court case? Oh, we just go off to something completely random. But I mean, I still went with it, and they gave us the fun Korean animation joke too.
Oh, fuck off. Everyone liked it when She-Hulk did it. Come on.
Not every show needs to do that kind of thing, though.
No, and see, that's one of the reasons why I thought She-Hulk had a shitty ending. Like,
Well, we have our own Kevin sitting right over here.
yeah, the way they ended the show, both shows actually, was, I think Kevin's version was an homage to Looney Tunes,
Yes.
whereas She-Hulk was trying to say that they invented that gag. And it's like, no, dude, that's fucking gags way older than me, you put together. Like, shit. Like, all three
Not
of us.
exactly executed as well either.
No, at least in Clerks, it was Jay drawing all the fucking pictures that were fucking up with Dante and Randall.
Which when it made sense, because if you're doing this as a comic strip form, you could still do the same thing. You could do it in any other adaptation, and it would still play out the same way, and it would work for me. You go to something like She-Hulk, and they did it just to kind of irk the fans and try and be clever, quote unquote.
Yeah, whereas when they went into the writer's room for this series, like you said, that's where they had that fucking great joke where you had to look for it. The book that the writer's holding that says How to Write Cartoons by Seth MacFarlane.
Exactly. And then somebody else was reading like the Bible, so they were looking for Bible jokes.
Which is funny because the reason why those are always in there and prevalent in his movies is because Kevin was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
So and that's another reason where it's like I was raised the same way, so I kind of get that. Dogma was really important because he came out with the philosophy that said it's better to have an idea than a belief, because you could change an idea. Changing a belief is a little trickier.
God, Dogma is such a good movie.
Yeah.
That is literally my favorite of his. So,
And then this will probably piss people off at home. His gay jokes don't bother me whatsoever, and I don't necessarily see them as homophobic.
well, they weren't mean-spirited. None of them were.
Well, Kevin's brother is homosexual. That's why I
Yeah.
point that out. Like, he fucking loves and is proud of his brother. Like, that's never been an issue. But it is common, especially with people our age group and before, that emasculating them was a way of really like ticking somebody off.
Right.
And that's really what you see in this series is more or less people being emasculated or making fun of society because you can't say gay anymore.
When did this come out?
2001?
Something
2000?
like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Different era.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
was living in Riverside at the time, down in LA or near LA. Yeah, it was in the early part of the 2000s, I think. But I couldn't even tell you what fucking Super Bowl it was that they came after.
So did this literally air after a Super Bowl? I don't even remember that either.
Yes, and they fucking just like dropped into like, we now return to your regularly scheduled programming. Like, I don't even think people saw the intro that it was Clerks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well, then it had that weird opening narration for most of the episodes too.
I see, and I liked that. That's one of the things that it just kind of it clicked with me. The first one, until then, courage. Like, I don't know why, like that courage thing just kind of fucking stuck with me. Like, anytime someone says they're going to go watch a certain movie that's on Rift, you just got to be like, courage, motherfucker, like respect.
This aired in 2000 to yeah, it aired in 2000, May to December 2000.
Oh, okay. So it was before the world went to shit. That's cool. Because anything pretty much before 9/11 was pretty sweet, fairly sweet. Yeah. I mean, closing up what I got, I love this. I would pay to see more of it if there was ever a Kickstarter. I'm just sad there wasn't more. I'm really sad about it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that fate has worked its way to have him nix the Clerks 2 and 3 that he was originally working on, and for him to come up with a much better story for 2, and then it's such a personal story now for Clerks 3. Like it's I like that natural evolution where they've come from, and this is a nice middle ground for them.
Yeah.
It's I think 3 is supposed to be a lot more serious than 2 is, and 2
That's
is
the impression I got.
yeah, and 1 is I wouldn't call 1 a serious movie, but it is compared to part 2. Like part 2 is just like funny joke, and not in a slapstick way. So it's not stuff that you can't not believe.
Maybe that's why some of the jokes didn't land for me, because I'm not a huge fan of slapstick. And
That's
like
true.
the pot falling joke, like that was pretty slapstick, I think. I don't know.
Some of it could be construed, sure, like them fucking popping the hole in the quarantine bubble and breathing it in, going phone home. That was pretty slapsticky, but again, it had the ET joke, so I mean that worked for me.
Yeah. Like this show hit here and there sporadically, but it wasn't really a good impression on me. But I don't know, maybe if they have more freedom to do something that, and they have a better idea of what they want to do going into it. Because like we were saying, it seemed like they got some legs and they kind of figured out where they were going and like what they were doing. Like
That's typical of TV shows, though. Like once you get to the 3rd episode, then you start seeing what it's really going to be. And then sometimes some TV shows you don't get to the 3rd season, or it doesn't like get consistently good and find its shoes until the 3rd season.
Perfect example of that is Star Trek: The Next Generation. First season's okay, second season's horrible, third season's pretty good, 4, 5, and 6 are great, 7's kind of okay. But that's pretty common for a lot of shows, is like first couple seasons, it takes about 2 to 3 seasons to really figure out its identity. This had it figured out in 6. And unfortunately, it got canceled after 2 episodes, and ABC was just done with it. The ratings had to have been pretty bad, or they were concerned about the budget, or both.
I saw there was something about the Weinsteins being involved, and like Kevin was saying, someone left ABC or something, and this was kind of like the proverbial stepchild being unwanted.
That's pretty common when owners or executives would change networks. That happened with when we were doing Brimstone with Ethan and Cy. Peter Roth left like literally 2 weeks before the show started, and so the new guy came in and he's like, nope, Brimstone is not on my docket, but we're already too late to pull it from the schedule, so we're going to bump it to Friday, and we're not going to really do any promotional material for it. They've done that with a lot of shows. Firefly, they had a change in executives. What did they do? They put the 3rd episode first, ran some episodes out of order, then canceled it after 5 episodes. So shit like this does happen often.
Yeah, and it's too bad because like you look back on what is considered successful TV shows, and largely they're shit. I'm glad we don't have to do most of those shows that have natural endings.
Oh God.
Like my wife is watching Bones right now. Did I enjoy Bones in like 2006, 2008? Yeah, it was entertaining, but like listening to it now, I am most certainly riffing every line that comes out. Like it's
Is that the one with David Boreanaz and
yeah, and Emily Deschanel, which
Yeah.
those two are great together. That they do make the show funny.
Yeah.
But it's not a realistic show. It's kind of like CSI, where it's like, did that age poorly? Yeah, kind of. Science is further than that. But getting back to it, like by and large, most successful TV shows I don't get into. TV shows that I really get into would be something like this, or like we talked about before, The Critic. Like, just smarter comedy, smarter writing, and hasn't really been one of TV's strong points since '98.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they started like forcing and pushing reality TV because it was so cheap,
Ugh.
and you started seeing less and less scripted work on TV, that's where it
Like
all
you,
just kind of,
Survivor.
yes, 1000%.
More like
Survivor and
fuck
Big
you,
Brother.
Survivor. But
Oh, but now reality TV's flipped around, and now it's scripted reality TV.
it's
Oh,
been
it-
scripted for a while.
Well,
Actually.
yeah,
It always was. They just had that illusion in front of you, like to make you believe that it's reality.
Yeah.
Like 90 Day Fiance is my favorite. It's about the only reality TV that I watch, other than like this show from the UK called X on the Beach. That was pretty hilarious. It was on MTV UK. They tried making an American version of it, but it was not funny.
Huh.
It must have been Real World, sort of season 22 or whatever.
I hated
Yeah,
that.
it was like a bunch of like MTV UK reality show stars, like who all had dated each other, all like ending up at this beach house, not knowing that they were going to end up with like their exes showing up. And like a lot of the exes had dated other people's exes or had dated other people there. It was like this clusterfuck of disaster. It was truly like a couple like bullet trains colliding head on because of a switching error, and just corpses everywhere and laughter to be had.
Sounds like a herpes super spreader party.
I'm already bored just listening to it.
Unless they show all that fucking. Now you've got this and you've got that, and that.
TVNA not applicable.
Not applicable. No shit.
Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw it to you for some social media.
All right, man. Let's see here. We had a lot of responses today. All right. First, we had Marty Catola answer us. And I'm sorry, we asked people. Yeah. We asked people, what were your favorite memories of Clerks? And we asked if anybody had their, their favorite lines. And we've gone over most of the favorite lines. So we'll go over the fun memories. Let's see. Marty said, it's what got me into KS. And I'm assuming it means that Kevin Smith. I'd like to say me, but no. Yeah, so the Clerks animated series is where Marty got into the View Askew universe. And Marty is really hip on pop culture. So for him to take this and then want to go out and see the others, like, that makes me happy to hear. Like, this worked for him.
Very cool.
And let's see here. Next, we have Dr. Jeremy Grab, who says, it's Frozen. My God, I think I nearly passed a kidney stone the first time I saw that. Doc, I'm sorry, dude, because I have fucking kidney stone problems like you wouldn't believe. So my condolences there.
So thank you for writing in. Kevin will write to you back now.
You can send you some horror photos. I'm still scarred. So many barbs and.
Did you guys catch their letters or notice who their letters were from when they were reading their letters? When they introduced Lando, the first black character on the show, it was Jen Schwalbach who wrote in saying, why aren't there any girls on your show? Are you afraid of women? And he says, oh, thanks, Jen. Thanks for writing in. What pretty handwriting. Jen Schwalbach is Kevin's wife. And she's super funny too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then we've got John Malbro, who says, oh my God, this show was amazing. Dude, I agree too. It's like we said, I wish this could have gone on a little bit longer because I love the characters and I love parodies of pop culture.
Yep, I do too.
And next is at Blue Shirt and Jacket, who said, I loved this show. I have a signed copy by the man himself.
Ooh, excellent.
That is pretty cool. I've gotten 2 things autographed. Well, more than 2 things, but 2 things that I could think of off the top of my head. The Clerks comic book that I talked about earlier, that was signed. I got a picture from Dogma. Yeah, picture from Dogma. And I thought it was Clerks, but no, it was. It was Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back was the DVD that I had signed. And like each one is kind of like a joke at our name. And like he's just a cool dude to like talk to. And so getting an autograph, I think if anyone has like actually gotten to get the autograph from him, I've never heard anybody really have a negative experience. Like for the people that know him, like people that don't know him that just kind of go up might feel that he's kind of a smart ass. I've never really taken that to heart in any way, shape, or form.
My kind of guy.
Yeah, he's funny. He's just naturally funny and quick-witted. So sometimes that takes people a while or a moment to catch up to, and it offends them. We're sorry.
Not really, because that's how you got onto our podcast. So
That's true. Next we've got Mishari Al-Rashid, who says, I had a DVD for this show, which I borrowed from a friend and watched on my PS2 over 21 years ago.
ooh.
Mishari, why you got to put it like that? It says, I haven't watched it since then, but I remember the theme song and the Optimus Prime cameo.
Oh yeah.
Yes. The Optimus Prime cameo, is that where Riff Tracks kind of got that bit?
I was
Had
just
to.
thinking about that right as you were saying that. The clicks between where have I seen a transforming Autobot murder people? It was the Riff Tracks intro.
Yeah, where Shia and Megan's heads are like out one side his ass and the other side of the See, that happens to Kevin all the time. Like he'll put something in a comic and then somebody later on will like make a bigger budgeted thing of it and use the same scene. Tim Burton did that with Planet of the Apes. And when Kevin kind of said, look, I even have a picture of it literally right here in his comic book where he's talking about, I think it was the Lincoln Memorial being replaced with an ape. And like Tim Burton he was saying it jokingly, and Tim Burton did not take it as such.
I can believe that. Tim Burton doesn't seem like the kind of guy who gets jokes.
No, not really. No. And he said, Tim Burton says, and I quote, anybody that knows me knows that I don't read comic books. And everyone's response was, yeah, we saw Batman.
That's pretty good.
Which, in all fairness, I like the first Batman movie. The second one's okay too, but beyond that, where he was producing shit, he still had a little bit of say-so over Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
No.
Oh wow! So he was part of the Joel Schumacher cocaine debacle in Batman.
Very
Yes.
loosely.
Yeah, he was the producer of them, but I don't think he was any like hands-on, say like Spielberg would be.
No,
Okay,
he was
so
probably
wasn't-
contracted for it, so they kept his name on there and he got a little check.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So he wasn't the reason for the bat nipples.
No, that was
Okay.
all Schumacher.
They weren't
Magic.
perky enough.
Magic 8-Ball. What do you tell me? Oh, snort all this. Okay.
Oh, yay, yo. Let's see. Our friends from the Least Haunted podcast said, love this show. The balls to do a clip show as episode 2. And who could forget who is driving? Oh my God, Bear's driving. How can this be? Yeah, like I like the randomness and silliness of having a clip show for your second episode.
It is jarring if you don't know what's coming, though. I did not. So
I love that. It was just yesterday. Of course, I remember that.
It wasn't funny either time, though, was the thing.
Oh, it got me though. I don't know why. Probably because like I love the silliness and ridiculousness. Like let's reminisce about only like 20 minutes that we've done so far.
Yeah.
maybe that'll
Clip
be our
shows are
next
never-
episode. We're going to do a clip show next episode. I'm going to ask you guys all about Clerks all over again.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Wait.
Then we're doing it, baby.
No.
All right. Then
No.
we've got 909 Flea. Which 909 Flea, are you from Riverside or the Inland Empire? Because that's the only thing I could think of from 909. The entire series is a quote. It's my favorite thing that Kevin Smith has ever done. You know, I will say, yeah, almost everything is a quotable in this. If you like, if you're like me and can communicate in movie riffs or movie quotes like Ghostbusters, this is definitely for you. Like every quote is something that you could apply in life. Not always for something like positive, but things you could, apply negatively to other people. Like the weed of crime bears bitter fruit, you old hag. Oh, and he says, and on that note, the last thing he says, I'm Dante, and I'm the biggest idiot ever.
It's too true.
Now, Will, I know that scene bothered you, but removing the cat, putting Dante in the wheelchair and dressing him like fucking Larry Flint in the diaper was fucking amazing.
Yeah, he was supposed to be Larry Flint.
Yeah, it was both Larry Flint and Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And Larry Flint went to court in a diaper made of a folded American flag. If you haven't seen The People versus Larry Flint, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, like if you can get past like it's about the porn industry, like Woody Harrelson is fucking great in that movie. And I'm not bothered by the porn industry, obviously. So
yeah, I'm not bothered by that. That would not be an obstacle to me.
The only downside to it is Courtney Hole is in it. Or Courtney Hole.
That was perfect. I went with it. I knew exactly who you meant.
Yeah. I think we all know who you meant.
See, that's one of those. I want to say that's a Freudian thing.
No, it's not.
But it's not so much Freudian as much as I just said what it's actually calling it how it is. Like,
yeah,
what a hole. Yeah,
gaping hole.
Gaping hole. Courtney Love is in it.
So, and not so glorious.
Not so glorious.
Oh wait, did she die of AIDS or something in that movie?
Oh God, I wish.
Did she die of like drugs and STDs?
I think she passed out in the bathtub.
Oh,
and drowned.
I don't remember actually.
I think I'm not sure, but yeah,
is she still alive?
No.
Oh, okay.
Larry Flint might be. If not, he just passed away recently. No, he just passed away recently. That's right. And that's all we had for social, though.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for Clerks, the animated series from the mind of Kevin Smith. We'll see you next time.
Snoogans.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Snoochin' to the Noochin'?
Snoochie Boochies.
Snoochie Boochies.
It wouldn't have been a good show if had somebody not said it once.
Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at sunsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.
I lost it again. Edit that part.